Сайн байцгаана уу хүн төлөвчтэй. Өнөөдөр манай де факто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Япон улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайд ноён Масато Тakaoka оролцож байна.
Masato Takaoka Япон улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайд. Masato Takaoka Токиогийн их сургуулийг гадаад харилцааны мэргэжлэр бакалавр, Харвардын их сургуулийг Кеннедийн нэрэмжит, засгийн газрын сургуулийг төрийн бодлого мэргэжлэр магистрийн зэрэгтээ тус төгссөн байна. Тэрээр гадаад иргэн яамны нэгдсэн гадаад бодлогын газрын зэвсэглэлийн хяналт, зэвсэглэлийг хоригдуулах хэлтсийн зэвсэгтэй холбоотой материал зэргийг үл дэлгэрүүлэх тасгийн дарга, эдийн засгийн газрын ерөнхий захирлын орлогч, гадаад иргэн яамны олон нийтэд харилцах хэлтсийн дарга, сангийн яамны гадаад харилцаа хариуцсан газрын ерөнхий захирлын орлогч, Батлан хамгаалах агентлагийн сургалтын хэлтсийн даргаар тус ажиллаж байсан. Masato Takaoka Япон улсаас бүгд найрамдах энэтхэг улсад суугаа элчин сайдын яамны зөвлөх, улс төрийн асуудал хариуцсан элчин, Япон улсаас Вен дэх олон улсын байгууллагын дэргэд суугаа байнгын төлөөлөгчийн газрын 1-р нарийн бичгийн дарга, зөвлөх, Япон улсаас Ирак улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайд, Сэдний хотод суугаа ерхий консулаар ажиллаж байсан ба 2016 оны 11-р сараас Япон улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайдаар ажиллаж байна.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming over.
You spent about 2 years or so as ambassador almost in Mongolia.
Yeah.
In November it will be 2 years. So how do you find so far the job what you do in Mongolia?
This is fascinating. To be honest, when I arrived here December 2007 or 16. That was my first landing in Mongolia. My knowledge was very limited. But since I have been here for almost 3 years now, it's so exciting. The country itself is so fascinating. And also the relationship between Japan and Mongolia is really close and intense. So I have many wonderful jobs to do.
You have been ambassador to Iraq.
Yeah.
And then after that you have been general consul to Sydney in Australia, now in Mongolia. Please tell us why you have chosen to be a diplomat. Is it by chance or what happened?
That's a very interesting question. Why I became a diplomat? To be honest, when I graduated from high school.
Where?
In Hyogo, it's my Hodo.
Hodo.
Okay. And Hodo. And I was born in the countryside, raised up. And I was a science major, actually. Then things didn't go as I had planned. And then I changed my subject to international relations. I wanted to be a journalist at the beginning, to kind of say critically about how the policy is being formulated.
That's what I'm trying to do.
That's what you are doing. But what I felt at that time was I would rather be inside the government, to be involved in the formulation of policy or the implementation of government policies or programs. So I wanted to be more inside this public sector. That's why that I chose to become a diplomat.
As you have been all your life being a public servant.
Yes.
And you start to work in Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1981.
Right.
And you have been working in Vienna, in England, right?
Yeah.
Also. So all this diplomatic functioning, mission, today you are at the top of your career, being ambassador second time. Do you see a big difference between your work, your ministry work, and the way our ministry and our diplomats work here?
Because I have talked with a lot of diplomats from different countries, whether they are working overseas, or whether they are working at headquarters. But probably the challenges are similar. So we talk the same language. So when I talk to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs people in this country, I can understand immediately what they are thinking about. So, it's professionally, we have the same sort of thinking. Yeah, how we are going to serve the ministers and how we are going to respond to the needs of the public, how we are going to formulate a policy in a way that would sell your country's views. So I think it's similar.
Japan is one of the countries, Western countries, who had diplomatic relations with Mongolia at early days. The first country except was the Britain, etc. Japan. And your embassy was also where embassy itself was in a hotel Lambata.
Yeah, that's right.
And now today you have a wonderful building in the center of the city. And also the diplomatic relations, in particular economic relations, cooperations, your assistance grow to comparable with this hotel, and your building kind of quality improved a lot, increased, developed. It came to such a high level today. How do you see as ambassador that relations with Mongolia in a political arena, in economic arena today, as we speak of?
This is such a big question, and we established the diplomatic relationship between our two countries in 1972. So 2 years ago, we celebrate the 45th anniversary of the establishment of the relationship. So 2022, we are going to celebrate 50th anniversary. Such a big development. As you said, we started our embassy in Ulaanbaatar Hotel. Now, and we built this embassy about 23 years ago. At that time, we are not really at the center. As you know, that we just have the Shangri-La Hotel across the street.
Yes.
Now it has become a kind of a center. And when this embassy was built, there was nothing around. We could see Zaisan very well, and people who are living here didn't have to use the curtains because nothing was built. But the Mongolia has changed so much, and this prosperity and happiness of the country's people. And the relationship itself has changed. Over 1972, you were still the part of the socialist bloc. But in 1990, this Mongolia's democratization process started. And then Japan was one of the leaders in trying to help stabilize and advance the democracy in this country. Because we are close neighbors, and also Japan and Mongolia shared values of democracy and freedom. So we wanted Mongolia to be strong and stable, promoting the values that we believe in. And things have changed so dramatically. For example, it's politically, economically, culturally, and the people-to-people relationship. For example, I often talk to the Japanese visitors who come over here, and how the relationship is so strong. Politically, yes, of course. For example, that our foreign minister came over to Mongolia in June, and we had a very wonderful meeting, consultations, not only about the bilateral relationship, but also the regional and international questions. So we have a lot to talk about between our two countries, and also our two foreign ministers met in Thailand, Bangkok, when there was a regional ASEAN-related meeting.
Yeah, just after our president's visit to the U.S.,
Yeah.
with whom we had a strategic partnership now, as well as with Japan.
Yeah.
Of course, it's politically at a very high level.
Yeah.
And economically, we have been receiving for years at our difficult time your assistance. We don't forget what happened during cold winter in the early 90s. And a lot of things to thank Japanese people on the buses when we had lost almost all buses. They did not work properly, etc. So today, when we celebrate this in 2 or 3 years, 50th anniversary, how do you find now economic work between two countries? How do you will define it now?
It's moving very well. Among many economic cooperation projects that we are doing, we attach particular importance to this new airport. There was signing of the concessional agreement between the Mongolian government and the Japanese companies consortium. We are honored that Japan has been involved not only in the construction of the new airport, but also in the management of this new airport. Because we believe this is going to be a key strategic infrastructure that connects this country, our friend Mongolia, with all the countries by air. Air is free. So the interconnectivity is essentially important for Mongolia's development. So we're very much honored to be involved in this very important project. And this, again, shows to the public, to people in Japan and overseas, that Japan and Mongolia can work together on such an important project. That will send a very strong message for foreign investors, Japanese investors as well. And also it's going to be a symbol of a very close relationship between our two countries. Another thing that I should mention is the Economic Partnership Agreement, which entered into force June 2016. For Mongolia, this remains the only the free trade agreement with any other countries. As a matter of fact, after the entry into force of this EPA, the relationship, trade relationship has increased quite drastically. And exports and imports are getting higher in terms of volumes. At the same time, the fact that we have an economic partnership agreement sends a signal to investors. Okay, this is a country that we should be working together. So we are very fortunate that we are having that sort of a mechanism.
Well, also on the since we started about this economic partnership agreement, there is some concern also. Because it's more or less discounted conditions for trading. Mongolia is taking the advantage and buying a lot old second-hand cars from Japan, and it is today almost more than half of the country's cars park, and it is also left and right-hand difference, and it causes also another concern from general perspective. Of course, for those who is driving those cars, it's affordable, comfortable, very comfortable, affordable cars for Mongolians. So that's why we cannot stop them buying. It's a free trade at the end. However, we have some concerns about the increasing disbalance between the countries, two countries, and also concern about what we will do with the batteries of those cars. What would be your thoughts?
First, second-hand cars from Japan, they don't receive the favorable treatment under the Economic Partnership Agreement.
So it has nothing to do with the
No, it has nothing to do with. Basically, it's because that in the case of second-hand hand cars, it is difficult to qualify for the rules of origin. So, if it is a brand new car, then that can easily meet this rules of origin. If
so
second-hand
this trading of prius cars are not covered by what they have agreed on.
It's going to be difficult because if it is a second-hand car and put new components which do not necessarily meet the Japanese rules of origin, then that is going to be difficult. Probably your Mongolians consumers are choosing not really based on the price advantage, but also the reliability or the quality
that's right.
and price itself.
Yeah, and plus it's very cheap to operate.
So, of course, we are. I'm not going to make a comment on the safety question because that's really important for Mongolian side to decide. But what I can say is that they. Of course, we like Mongolians to drive safely, whether right-handed or left-handed, and also, if it is not only the cars, but the Mongolian consumers put their trust on the quality of the Japanese products. That's something that I like to note.
On export side, from Mongolia. What kind of goods you observed the particular growth?
It's textiles by far. Textiles, cashmere and wool and many other products, and they are doing so well. And they have put up their stores, and they are really aggressively promoting their marketing.
Is there any consumer assumption being changed in Japan about Mongolia and Mongolian products?
Yeah, well, in the first place, cashmere is something which we think beyond our reach. But the Mongolians are providing cashmere at a reasonable price.
Thanks to the original cooperation with you, who helped the first factory, Gobi, which is now today in private hand, but doing much better than before because the private company invests a lot, and we're glad to.
And the price and quality, and also it is very encouraging when I hear from Gobi people that the Japanese market is an international market. Therefore, while it is difficult to upgrade the level of quality to the Japanese consumer preference, but once you do this, you can sell it to any other international market.
That's what's happening. It's not only Gobi, but other also companies are trying to do.
One thing that I should, on coming back to this battery questions, of course, for example, Toyota is very much conscious of this problem. So of course, since it is not it's a second-hand car, but Toyota didn't sell it directly at all. But nevertheless, they are mindful of this sort of reputational challenge once this becomes more serious in a social question.
Good. Nice to hear that, and hope this program will be somehow in the current format that Toyota does for other cars in Japan, and also or in different format. Somehow this is the issues that Mongolians are not yet addressing. So hopefully we will find a way to deal it better. Another aspect I want to talk to you is the growing number of Mongolians in studying in Japan. What is behind? Why is that? How is this going on?
It's amazing that now more than 3,000 Mongolian youth are studying in Japan.
3,000.
3,000. So simple calculation is 1 out of 1,000 people in Mongolia is going to Japan. We feel it's a tremendous honor that the Mongolian youth choose my country as a place to spend precious few years of their youth and to intensify their knowledge and skills. And at the same time, we feel so proud that many of the Mongolians who have come back after studying and spending some years in Japan are working so prominently back in Mongolia country. For us, what is important is, Mongolian. We like Mongolia to be strong and stable and prosperous. And then people who are coming back with the Japanese knowledge, at the same time, Japanese cultural ethics, whatever.
Oh, it is.
Is coming back.
And additional to that, those who studied previously, some of them will work for a certain short or longer period in Japan, in Japanese companies. They are also workers. I understood total statistics could be about 9,000 or so even. And Japan, because the Olympic game, you started to attract qualified, skilled workers. How does it work now so far?
Well, to be honest, though, Japan is now in the shortage of workforce. And then Olympic, of course, is a very important factor. But in various fields, Japan is in need of skilled labor force. And therefore, Mongolia is chosen as one of the countries where we do accept certain skilled force. And we have signed an agreement between your Minister of Labor and the Japanese minister, relevant ministers. So that will open the gate.
So all this economic, as we talk, political, particular education, now peoples to people, so many people visit each other. Tourists come two directions. So all this together says that it is so well, very high dynamics of corporations. I would like to ask another questions on this because it's August month and it is 80th anniversary of a battle. We had Soviet Army, Soviet Union Army, Mongolian Army, and Japanese we call Kwantun Army. At Halkhingol, 80th years, we are celebrating that battle and victory. How do you see on your side what had happened 80 years ago in Halkhingol?
We will not forget what happened in the past, and we know that there was what we call the Nomonhan incident, and also after the end of the war, 13,000 Japanese were taken over to Mongolia and forced to work
by Russians.
And many people unfortunately died. But the past is past. We look forward, and as I said, we are in many ways enjoying the great relationship between our two countries. We do have this strategic. We are strategic partners. So many young people going, and as you say, that many tourists. And I was really happy when we at my place, we were celebrating the beginning of Reiwa, because new emperor was enthroned. So we wanted to celebrate together with Mongolian leaderships on that day. That was the 1st of May. The photograph was widely disseminated through social media. And actually, I was really surprised when so many of the former president, former prime minister, former speakers of the many, and as well as incumbent ministers and MPs, among many other people, came to celebrate jointly the beginning of a new era. And also people who studied in Japan came back to Mongolia. They set fireworks at the Tall River.
For Japanese people, it's an era change when the emperor power is given to the sons. Right? This is a brand new era.
I was very moved that the Mongolian people, the political leaderships or youngsters, were taking this change of the majesties or the change of the reigns as something that they wanted to celebrate together. And what I thought was that our Heisei, the previous era, started in 1989, right? And your democratization started in 1990. And the past 30 plus years, we were working together, happily, helping with each other.
And it brought so much prosperity to Mongolia. Happy days to both countries.
Yes.
And the new era is to be bring even more joys.
True. So that's, then I thought that the history overlaps, over the past 30 years plus. So, and that has brought so much of the happiness and the mutual respect and the friendship between our two countries.
I would like to ask, it's the final set of questions on regional issue. There is an organization called Shanghai Organization of Cooperation. Mongolia is an observer from the beginning. And nowadays, our current president suggesting to upgrade our status. The whole country, intelligence, research institutes study the issues. What is your take on that?
This is up to the sovereign decision of Mongolia, whether to join SC or not. We are at the same time appreciative of what you call the third neighbor policy, having a close relationship with us and many of the countries, and also believing in the freedom and democracy. We like you, and I'm convinced that Mongolia will continue to promote the values, and then we can work together bilaterally and regionally and globally. That's very important because you are a very important partner in this region for Japan.
And we talk also about the Belt and the Road Initiative by President Xi Jinping. And some people confuse it with the initiative with Shanghai Organization of Cooperation. And we keep talking about the corridors in between Japan, China and Russia through Mongolia, but nothing is done so far. We just a lot of talks going on, and actually nothing is particular substantial is not done. So we are quite much watching positions here. What do you think about this Belt and Road Initiative?
No, this is not our sort of project, so therefore we leave that
discussion.
To you. Yeah, we leave that to you. But at the same time, we like that sort of initiative to be in line with international standards and the quality of the projects and openness. And also we like if it is going to be done by the loans, there is some caution of too much indebtedness being noted.
Yeah, some countries experience.
So so if it is going to be in line with the international standard, so that's what we are hoping. At the same time, we also like to help promote this connectivity, or it's a totally different subject, but we are promoting with other countries like United States or India this free and open Indo-Pacific Ocean. Although Mongolia is an inland country, the airport, for example, that we are working on together is very much promoting the interconnectivity, which Mongolia is going to be very in need of. This way, and actually Prime Minister Friels, when he was officially visiting Japan in December last year, Prime Minister Friels and Prime Minister Abe jointly mentioned this, the importance or the support for this idea.
Ambassador, we have talked very wide range of issues of bilateral cooperation and also a bit international, regional issues. And I would like to really thank you for your time giving this interview, because I saw many times you do every morning karate.
Oh yeah.
What makes you to do that every morning?
I like it.
Yeah.
I become more spiritual when you talk about karate.
Okay.
Yeah, but I to me, with that, I like running. I like many other sports, but the karate is not simply a sport. It means more to me. So that's what I did.
With this spirit, I think two countries will have the same way of energy and prosperity.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Баярлалаа.
За хүн төлөвчтэй өнөөдөр манай дефактоны төвийн зочноор Япон улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайд ноён Масато Takaoka оролцлоо. Баярлалаа.